my name is Dolph Cook and I'm the Dean of Green for the Australian Cannabis University.
And how did the Australian Cannabis University come about?
I came up with the idea of being a little bit like that. It grew in my head. One day I let it out to our first and second members and they were so impressed with it, they reached in their pockets and gave me $1 each and said, now you've got to do something. And it was just an idea.
And what was the idea?
The idea was to be able to bring cannabis to every single person in Australia, the education of it, how to use it, why it's so important. At this point in time, 2017, when the actual idea came manifested, it was totally still illegal in this country. We're like the second last country in the world to legalise it.
And what did you want to tell your members? What did they want from you and what did you give them?
In the beginning, I had an idea that I would teach you everything you need to know about cannabis. And over the years, I found that was quite a huge task. Every time I taught the healing aspects of cannabis, people would say, well, where can we get it? And that evolved from us in the beginning with one of our members saying, hey, can we show you what we know? And the Cannabis University's always been like that. We don't believe that we know the absolute end of all information about cannabis. We know every single person has something new to bring, and that's what's happened. It's evolved.
So it's like a sort of an exchange of information and ideas.
Definitely, and it's definitely like a club of people saying, hey, yes, we believe in cannabis, but we don't quite believe in the propaganda that's been out there for the last 100 years. So people are starting to wake up and they needed somewhere to talk without feeling judged and how to pick up new ideas. And, you know, in the long term, we brought people to the farm and taught them hands-on, which has never been done before.
So tell us the story of the farm.
The current farm, in 2017, the ACU's idea came about. We were already growing cannabis on what we like to call the Hill of Abundance, which was a lease that was given to us to do whatever we liked, and we decided to get a cannabis license. New members came, showed us different things. It wasn't long before then we started making products available to our customers who were asking for it, and it wasn't long after that that one of our members offered us a farm of our own, or a piece of a farm of our own.
So tell us the story of what you've done there and how that's evolved.
So from in the beginning, we made it clear to all our members, you can come up, volunteer, we'll give you somewhere to live, and we'll teach you everything you need to know about cannabis. That's morphed into having a lot of sick people come up, and we brought them concepts that helped them get back to life that they couldn't do. Someone that springs to mind, her parents tried to grow cannabis for her and all got caught up with the law, and they raided their house and they were sick people, and it's just horrible what was going on at that time. But having a farm, having a license, and having a way to allow any of our members to come to that farm legally was pure brilliance.
And what happened in her case?
The young girls, they come to the farm, they ask could they live on the farm to try treatments. I believe I was in Sydney giving talks at one of the cannabis expos, and I got a message, hey, what do you do with your cannabis up there? It's only been 7 days and my daughters, he had two, have no pus, have no pain, and for the first time in a long time are feeling really good. And so it was no pain, no pus, no bleeding. And that was a Crohn's disease, which we were looking at that time, and it was at that time, everyone just said, oh, just take cannabis to help with the pain. No one thought about juicing the cannabis because it's not heated, you don't get stoned, and you get a maximum cannabinoid boost each time you drink a 30 ml juice, and it didn't take long to straighten things out. So we know with the gut, it's a single cell walled thing, and it only takes 24 hours to replace. But unfortunately, one of the girls had already had operations there that can't be repaired by cannabis, but with no doubt in their mind, they realised that cannabis was the way to go.
And so how has the Cannabis University progressed and the farm progressed? Tell us the journey.
It's always been about trying to bring the best quality cannabis at the cheapest price, because we're all in the same boat. If you can't afford to live, how can you afford the exorbitant prices that the government charges you for cannabis to get well? And we understand behind that they have a whole entire industry in opioids that they want to protect. So they said that to us in the beginning when ODC first arrived in Australia, Office of Drug Control. They said, everyone in this room, none of you will have enough money to be part of this. And it was just like, what? What's going on here? So we could tell that the government was trying to hand it all on to big corporations, and they failed pretty much. So now we're starting to see diversity in that marketplace, but that's like 6 years after we started as the ACU. So we wanted you to understand what you're doing before you try doing it. So we want to quell some of the things you might have heard about reefer madness and stuff like that. And then try it yourself. And we've always been about microdosing. So our titration is set towards microdosing. We have thousands of people sending us testimonials all the time saying how it's helped them.
So tell us about the history of the farm and to where it is today.
Okay, so in the beginning it was really hard slogging it. I lived in my old green truck, and I'm used to roughing it. I'm like everyone else when you get an idea that you're just starting to get real passionate about. And we planted and planted and planted, and every weekend we'd have shows and teach people in workshops, but part of the workshop would be going out and doing it. And we had some amazing successes, like earlier on before we got the farm, we put biochar, because I was into biochar, all in the fields. And when my representative for the cannabis to make sure I'm doing it right came out, she said these are the biggest cannabis plants she's ever seen. And you know, those videos made it to the Avachar video. You can see the cannabis there. It's insanely huge, and that was just with one concept, biochar. And we have so much to teach in soil. So that's our beginnings, was soil and cleaning the planet and looking after the world and growing things abundantly. And then cannabis is sort of like, hey, we can do all that, then we can heal all these people. And then this cannabis plant, when it's in the ground, is cleaning the earth. It's the world's best phytoremediator. So it was like a no-brainer. We moved from just total soil science and self-sufficiency and permaculture and all that into the Australian Cannabis University.
And like legally and whatever, how is the farm owned, and what's the sort of situation been, and how's it evolved?
Okay, so one member owned a share in this farm, and someone else died who had the other share. And we end up being able to buy the other share, but one of our members put in half, and the member who provided us with the idea said, don't worry, I'll cover your half as a vendor finance. So I had no credit rating at the time. I'm like a guy living in his truck, loving to surf, loving to do biochar, had no worries in my entire world, to someone who's now a land owner and having to understand everything that goes with it. And there was, I think, the beginning of our troubles that we're having now with the council, because being naive to all this, I went to the council. I said, I'm just about to buy this block of land. What am I allowed to do with it? And after talking for about 3 or 4 hours with 3 town planners, they said, oh, look, mate, use the state government legislation. You can have 200 square metres, unlimited amount, as long as you keep them under 7 metres high and 200 square metres, and you can do what you like. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is fantastic, thank you. Went away. That was verbal. It wasn't worth the piece of paper that it was spoken to. Yeah, not written to. And now they've said, oh, we've looked in our records and we have no knowledge of that. And of course you don't, because now where I'm at, I realise how insidious this system is. And that's why we're having to fight. Let's say politicians is a hard game. You can't please all the people all the time. But I think their motto is don't please anyone at all ever. And so now I'm not pleased and I'm willing to do something, and I hope you guys are going to help come along with me for the ride. I've got nothing to lose.